I want to talk about like our, the topic of the presentation, the age of aggregation, and why I bring up this topic is that we have been in this blockchain industry almost like it's been like 15 years, and we still, apart from stable coins, which also have little bit success, but generally we have not seen blockchains being adopted at a global scale. And the vision for every one of us, like everyone who's building in crypto, especially on the infrastructure side, especially my generation, 2017, 18, 20 generation who are building infrastructure products, everybody wants to have the infrastructure of crypto to reach a place where it can rival internet, right? The internet today, which we call Web 2. And the internet of today, which is Web 2, it is an internet of information, internet of data. And it has two important features to it, which makes it global scale, 2 billion people use it. First of that is, it is practically infinitely scalable. When I say practically, there's a big asterisk in that. I'm not saying that the bandwidth on these optical fiber lines is infinite, but you won't find an app developer saying that they can't launch their app and they can't scale their app because of the scalability problems on internet. It's practically infinite. Only on iPhone App Store and Android App Store, you have around 7 or 8 million applications. Plus, you would have probably 20 million applications on the web app side, and like I think even hundreds of millions of websites and so many other things, right? So people can launch as much as as many applications as they want to launch. Second thing is, the data and the information is seamless. That means that when you landed in Singapore, you did not have to connect to the internet of Singapore. You just came in, you just had like your own mobile data package. Most likely you had a roaming package from your existing carrier, and boom, you were directly connected to internet. So seamless interconnectivity and unified infinite scalability and unified information across the globe. Like this data, all this information is being produced, broadcasted over YouTube to the whole world. The same thing has to happen for Web3. If Web3 needs to go to internet scale, the Web3 is the internet of value. The same things should happen for value. First, infinite scalability. Second, unified liquidity. That means you shouldn't have to think about like, okay, I have 100 USDT on this chain, I need to bridge to this chain, and so many other things. And that's what I'm going to talk in more detail about that, right? So first is this quest for infinite scale, right? And if you see the current level of scalability, and most of the chains that are like, very popular chains, which will say that we have X TPS, like 100 TPS, 500 TPS, 1000 TPS, or 5,000, 50,000 TPS. They all are talking about a constant TPS, that this X number is our TPS, capacity. And no matter how big the N is still constant. And if you want the whole world to come into Web3, that's not enough. And if you see like, some of the prominent blockchains, like, Bitcoin has 7 TPS, Ethereum has 13 TPS, Polygon POS launched in 2020. It had 200 TPS. At that time, it was very, very scalable. Even now, it's one of the most popular chains for the developers and by the number of users and number of transactions. Solana today boasts of 3,500 TPS, but at the end, it's some limited TPS. And how do we reach infinite TPS for blockchains? That means as many apps want to launch, they can have infinite amount of and captive TPS, a dedicated TPS for them, right? So yeah, the question that how do we prepare Web3 infra for internet scale? And we need these two things: practically infinite TPS, no fragmentation. Enter AG layer. Like what Polygon, I think most of you guys would know that Polygon's new, like the latest product that in our 6-year journey of building and development, we believe that AG layer, and I in fact request you or even challenge you, like, speak to a lot of researchers in the blockchain space. Any researcher in the blockchain space, they will tell you that the AG layer that we are building is seems like something like this will be the end game of crypto infrastructure, and which can achieve these two practical limits that I was saying, practical features. And whether it's from Polygon or somebody else, that nobody knows, but the architecture will look something similar to this. And what is the architecture? The architecture is that Ag layer is this layer which provides interoperability across the chains and safety guarantees across the chains. What Ethereum provides, it just aggregates them together and posts one proof on Ethereum. But that provides them unified settlement guarantees, but it also provides them safe interoperability guarantees. And what it also does is, under the hood, it unifies liquidity. That means if you have $100 on any of these, let's say in very short time, there will be hundreds and hundreds of these chains. If you have 100 USDC on any of these chains, it means that you have 100 USDC on all of those chains, right? You can spend that 100 USDC safely on any of those chains. And you don't have to worry about all this bridging and everything in the background. You don't have to worry about the liquidity on that chain and all that. That USDT smart contract exists on all the chains. And that is what we are building with Ag layer. It's obviously under the hood. There's a lot of engineering. It's like years and years of research. But this is allowed essentially on a little bit technical level. It allows the chains to use a shared bridge with a safety guarantee for all the chains, and obviously a low latency interoperability. So for some of you guys who use smart contracts on various chains, these layer 2 stacks these days, like there are already more than 100 layer 2 stacks. And my belief is by when we are next year, when we will be talking here in token 2049 September, we would be around at 1,000 chains. There will be around 1,000 chains, decent, like respectable chains I'm talking about. Like there will be already probably 500 chains. I'm saying who have some level of traction, there you will have 1,000 chains already. And with these L2 stacks, we have already, the crypto space has already solved the infinite scalability problem. Like as much scalability you need, you can launch your own chain. That TPS is completely available to you. Now you have projects like Rise Labs and Mega ETH and all that who are building on getting single chain to have 100,000 TPS, right? Even if they achieve 10,000 TPS, that's like huge amount of scalability for a single chain. And now, so basically the scalability problem is solved. But the problem, as you would have all heard in the Ethereum ecosystem, that we are having this fragmentation problem. And Ag layer is the solution to address that problem. Like you have infinite scalability. How do you combine all of those chains together in one single layer? And that's what Ag layer is building towards. Some of the components on Ag layer, this is like a little bit, deeper detail into it. Like I'll not go into the too many technical details, but on a higher level, basically we know that all of these chains are ledgers, right? And what Ag layer is basically a big global ledger, where all of these chains have some level of chain level accounting. They have this chain level accounting in the form of ZK proofs. And what Ag layer does is it aggregates all the ledgers, all these individual chains, the ledgers from them into one single large ledger, right? And using that single large ledger and the reference to that, these chains can move value around to them, right? Around them, and the users can simply use applications. So, as the Ag layer, version goes live, one version goes live in October, and somewhere around like mid-December to January, the fast interoperability version goes live. For the developers here, you would be able to call a smart contract from chain A. Like your user is on chain A, he or she has 1,000 USDT. You want that user to buy an NFT on a chain B. The user will be able to click, do it with one single click. It goes to the other chain, buys the NFT, brings the NFT back into one chain. The user will not even see it, right? And the experience will be very similar to how you are used to experiencing the current Web2 applications. So chain level accounting is a very important factor of that. Proof aggregation is a very important factor of that. One other mental model I want to share with you guys, right? You can also think of Ag layer. It's not really a chain though, but I'm just trying to give a simple analogy. You can think of Ag layer as like a chain like Solana, but each address on the chain instead of it being a user address, each address is a chain, right? Like, for example, you use a chain like Ethereum or Solana or any other Polygon POS, each address defines a user, right? Or a smart contract. On Ag layer, each address will denominate a chain, right? And you could have like technically millions and millions of chain in future, and all those chains are interacting with each other. And this will give you kind of like the semblance of like internet itself. Like as many applications come into the market, they can launch their own chain. They don't need to be isolated on an island. They are connected into the mainstream liquidity. If they are able to attract the users will have no problem in moving the liquidity. So that's what we are building with the Ag layer. And it has, like, as I said, 3 things: chain level accounting, it does proof aggregation, ZK proof aggregation, and it has a unified bridge. And another big advantage of Ag layer is that many of you guys who might be seeing, let's say, various stacks available in the market, layer 2 stacks, they have business models, different business models. Many of those business models include sharing of the sequencer fees for the entrepreneurs to the stack teams. Ag layer doesn't ask the entrepreneurs from that. Like if you are launching your own chain, 100% of the sequencer fees goes to you. Everything, like you control all parts of your governance. You control how much decentralized you want to be, if you want to have privacy, which VM you want to use. It's absolutely built, from basis on the principles of capitalism, like full freedom to the developers, no fee sharing required from the developers. All you are in, when as a developer, your chain is interacting with the Ag layer, it is using Ag layer as, it is paying to the Ag layer as you go, right? So when you need the interoperability service, when you need to submit the proof, you pay a very small fees for submitting the proof, but you don't have to pay a fixed rent to the Ag layer. And that is one of the most important advantages due to which a lot of developers are choosing to connect with Ag layer. Plus, the advantage is that all of these existing stacks like OP stack, Arbitrum, Orbit, many other stacks that are available in the market. In fact, even layer 1s, anybody can connect to the Ag layer. And that's the design goal for Ag layer, that any kind of chain, L1, L2, doesn't matter, they should be able to connect to a unified liquidity layer. Some of the benefits I already spoke, like the native tokens, like any token that exists on Ag layer, it exists across the chains. So for an end user, they are interacting with one single chain. No matter which chain is underneath, they're interacting with one single chain. And that is very similar to what you see with internet today. You don't, like as I said, that you are just connected to internet. You are not connecting to internet of Singapore, internet of America, internet of India, whatever, right? So these are all single things. Then obviously it also allows complex message passing. Like you can pass complex messages from one smart contract to another smart contract on another chain. So very critical level of composability benefits you can drive from there. Then we have a very cool function, especially for the developers, called bridge and call. What it means is that any service that is available on any of the chains, for example, you connect into Ag layer, and Polygon POS is connected into Binance. So for many, many practical uses, your chain, your new chain, it is extremely hard to get connected into the exchanges, right? Get your chain natively connected into exchanges. But using the bridge and call functionality, if you are building a new chain for yourself, your chain is automatically connected to Binance using Polygon POS. How it will happen is you will basically, essentially on the front end, user will sign some transaction. It will actually bridge the asset, and then call a function on the other side, and your funds can get deposited into Binance. Similarly, it is true for on-ramp, off-ramp are a very big problem for most of the upcoming chains, right? It's very hard to get on-ramp, off-ramp provider to add a new chain. It's costly also. Again, using Ag layer, you don't need to have on-ramp, off-ramp natively on your chain. You can simply use on-ramp available on any of the Ag layer chains and simply connect with it. And as I said that, it is agnostic to the stacks. So if you are building on OP stack, you are building on Arbitrum Orbit, our next releases will allow you to connect any of your stacks into the Ag layer. So, it's very freedom invoking also for the developers. And obviously, all of this results into the unified liquidity, which is one of the biggest advantages of Ag layer. I would like to close there. Then, the Ag layer plus Polygon CDK. Polygon CDK is our own stack, although it's not necessary. But if you wanted to have a quick and direct use into the Ag layer, you can use CDK. Very soon, other stacks are coming. So this will change from Ag layer plus Polygon CDK to Ag layer plus any stack, and you have infinite TPS on this large network, and you have unified liquidity, which we believe will take the blockchain infra to a place where it can start resembling more and more to like what Web2 is for data and information. It will be for the value, because we all are building this internet of value, and that's the mission of Polygon. That's the mission of Ag layer: unlimited scalability, unified liquidity. I'll rest my case here. Thank you, everyone.